Subject of today's lecture is options. I think maybe I better first define what an option is before I move to just saying anything about them, because some of you may not have encountered them, because they're not part of everyday life for most people. Although they are in a sense. I'll get back to that. Let me just define terms here. So I should turn the light on here. I don't know where the switch is. Well, I will just make do. So there's two kinds of options. There's a call and a put. Okay. A call option is an option to buy something at a specified price, and the price is called the exercise price or strike price. Those are synonyms. And a put option is the right to sell something at the specified exercise price. And it has another term that has to be specified, and that's the exercise date. Okay. Options go back thousands of years. It must have happened before we have any recorded records. If you want to buy something, you're thinking of buying something from someone, but you don't want to put up the money today, you go to some lawyer and say, write up a contract. I want to buy an option to buy this thing. So, for example, if you are thinking of building a building on land that is owned now by a farmer, but you're not ready to do it, you may be thinking about it, you can go to the farmer and say, I'd like to buy that corner of that acre there. I'd like to have the right to buy it. I'll pay you now for the right. And you get a lawyer and you write up a contract. And that's an option. You have an option to buy at the exercise price until the exercise date. Now, in modern terminology, we have two kinds, American and European. And it doesn't refer to geography, those two terms. The terms refer instead to when you can exercise. So the American option is better than the European option for the buyer, because the American option can be exercised at any time until the exercise date, whereas a European option can be exercised only on the exercise date. Right? You see, the American option has to be better, or not worse than, I don't know if it's strictly better, but not worse than a European option, because you have more options. I think we've defined what they are. Do you understand well enough what they are? They occur naturally in life. I remember Avinash Dixit was writing about options, and he said, well, when you're dating someone and you know the person will marry you, you have an option which you can exercise at any time by agreeing to marry. Now, one of the theorems in option theory is you usually don't want to exercise a call option early. And so Dixit was saying, well, maybe that's why a lot of people have trouble getting married. They don't want to exercise their option early. What we'll see is that options have option value. They give you a choice. And so there's something there. When you exercise an option, that means when you actually buy the thing, or in the case of a put, sell the thing, then you're losing the choice. So you've given up something. Of course, you have to also exercise eventually if things are going to make sense. Usually when we talk about options, we're talking now about options to buy a share of stock or 100 shares of stock. And that's the usual example, but they occur all over the place. Let me mention some other examples of options. The usual story is the stock option. You go to your broker and you say, I'd like to buy an option to buy 100 shares of Microsoft. I don't want to buy Microsoft, I want to buy an option to buy Microsoft, which happens to be cheaper, by the way, usually. Usually, costs more money to actually buy the thing than to buy the right to buy the thing at another price. We'll get back to that. But in a sense, let's think about this. Stocks themselves are options, in a sense, because with a zero exercise price. Maybe I'll have to get back and explain that. But what I mean is, let me get back and explain that in a minute. But let me go ahead to other examples. Mortgages, an ordinary home mortgage has an option characteristic to it, in the sense that if the price of your home drops a lot, you can just walk away from the mortgage and say, I'm out of here. It's like not exercising an option. It's analogous. Or I can choose to prepay a mortgage early, and that's like exercising an option. So option pricing gets into all sorts of things. Okay, so I thought I should say something about the purposes of options before I move on to try to discuss what their properties and pricing are, which is the main subject of this lecture. I can give two different justifications for options. Why do we have options? Some people cynically think that options are just gambling vehicles. It's another way to gamble. You can go to the casino, you can play poker, or you can buy options. Well, I think for some people that's just what it is. They're volatile, risky investments that can make you a lot of money. But I think they have a basic purpose. And so, or purposes. First of all, theoretical. If we were trying to design the ideal financial system, what would we do? And I think back, some people thought of ideal economic systems without reference to finance. Like Karl Marx, I come back to him, the great communist, thought that we would have an ideal communist state and there'd be no financial markets. When they actually tried it and they tried to do it, I think they gradually realized that not having any financial markets makes our entrepreneurship, our management of enterprises kind of blind. We can't see where we're going because there's no prices. We don't know what anything is worth. There was an old joke that the communist countries survived only because they had prices from capitalist countries to rely on. Otherwise, they don't know anything about values or profits, right? So we need prices. And I just traced many people have written about this. But I mentioned in 1964, Kenneth Arrow, who is an economic theorist, wrote a classic paper in which he argued that unless we have prices for all states of nature, there is a sense in which the economic system is inefficient. You really need the price of everything, including the price of some possibility And in a sense, that's what options are giving you. Or the existence of options are giving you. Stephen Ross, who used to teach here at Yale, a friend of mine, lives here in New Haven. In 1976, in the Quarterly Journal of Economics, wrote a classic paper about options, showing that in a sense they complete the state space. They create prices for everything that affects decision making. So I'm not going to get into the technicalities of the paper, but I wanted to start with a theoretical justification for options so that you'll see why we're doing this. I don't want this to come across as a lecture how you can gamble in the options market. This is about making things work right for the economic system, improving human welfare. But it seems a lot of people don't get that. That's why Karl Marx was so successful. It seems too abstract. What does this options market do for us? It does. But let me just go back to the example I started out with. You're a construction firm and you're thinking of building something, a new supermarket, right, where people can buy their food. And you note that there's a pair of expressways crossing somewhere, and you think that's the perfect place to build a mega supermarket because everyone can get there by car, and there's a lot of land. I can build a big parking lot. Perfect. But before you think further, you go to buy an option on the land, right? So you knock on the door at the farmhouse, and there's a farmer with all these acres, and you say, I'm thinking of building a mega supermarket here. I'd like to buy an option on your farm. You learn something at that moment. You might learn that the farmer says, I've already sold an option, so I can't do it. You could try to talk to the person I sold it to and see if you can buy it from him. Or the farmer might say, I've had 3 other offers, and I'm raising my price to some millions of dollars. And then you have a second thoughts about doing it. You see what I'm saying? That the price discovery is in there. It's making things happen differently. You're learning something. The farmer is learning something. You are learning something from the options market. And ultimately, it decides where that supermarket will go. So that's the theoretical purpose of options. But I wanted to talk also about a behavioral. Purpose of options, or gets a little fuzzier about the actual benefits of options from this standpoint. The behavioral theory of options says that, well, it's very many different aspects of human behavior tie into options, but I would say it has something to do with attention anomalies and salience. Psychologists talk about this, that people make mistakes very commonly in what they pay attention to, what strikes their fancy or their imagination. Salience is something psychologists also talk about, that certain kinds of events, or maybe it's similar to salient events, are events that tend to attract attention, tend to be remembered. Now, when you think of options, a lot of options are what are called incentive options. Okay? And when you get your first job, you may discover this. They'll give you options to buy shares in the company you work for. Why do they do that? I think it's because of certain human behavioral traits that I mentioned here, your attention and your salience, but it's not necessarily very expensive for a company to give you options to buy shares in the company. But it puts you in a situation where you start to pay attention to the value of the company. It becomes salient for you. And you start hoping that the price of the company will go up because you have options to buy it at a strike price. You hope that the company's price per share goes above your strike price, because then your options are worth something. They're in the money. So it may change your motivation and your morale at work, or a sense of identity with the company. All these sorts of things figure in. And so that's why we have incentive options. They can also give you peace of mind. Insurance is actually related to options in the sense that when you buy insurance on your house, it's like buying a put option on your house. Although it may be not directly connected to the home's value, but right? When you buy an insurance policy on your house and the house burns down, you collect on the insurance policy. Well, the price of your house fell to zero. If you had bought a put option on the house, it would do the same thing, right? You would have an option to sell it at a high price, something that's now worthless. So insurance is like options. And insurance gives you peace of mind. And so people think in certain repetitive patterns, and one of them is that I would like to not worry about something. So I can get peace of mind by not, if I have a put option on something that I might otherwise worry about. All right, maybe that's enough of an introduction, but I've given you both theoretical reasons for options and behavioral reasons. I think of them as basically inevitable. You may have people advising you not to bother with options markets, and that might be right for you in a sense, but I think that they're always going to be with us, and so it's something that we have to understand. So let me draw a simple picture of option pricing. So this is the stock price, and this is the option price. Okay. And I'm going to mark here the exercise price. Then let's look at the exercise date, the last day. Okay, the option is about to expire, and this is your last chance to buy the stock. Then it doesn't matter on that day whether it's an American or European option. They're both the same on the last day. What is the price of the option as a function of the stock price? Well, if the stock price is less than the exercise price, the option is worthless, right? It will not be exercised. You won't exercise an option to buy it for more than you could just buy it on the market, right?
You have to say call.
Did I not say call? Yes. I'll put it up here. We're talking about call options. Thank you. But if it's above the exercise price, this is a 45-degree angle. That's in line with the slope of 1. The option price rises with the stock price. In fact, it just equals the stock price minus the exercise price, right? So this region, we say, is out of the money. The option is out of the money when its price is for a call is less than the exercise price. Here, it's in the money. I'll put it up here, in the money. And then, on the exercise date, it will always equal the stock price minus the exercise price. So it's very simple. Now, one confusion that's often made, I gave the example of building a shopping center or a supermarket on a farm. Now, someone might think that you buy an option on it so that you can think about it and make up your mind later. Well, in a sense, you could do that. But the thing is, you will exercise the option whether or not you build the shopping mall or the supermarket if it's in the money, right? Suppose you changed your mind and I don't want to build a supermarket, but I'm sitting on an option that I bought to buy his land for a price which is less than the market price for it. Of course I'll buy it. So you're going to buy it whether you build the shopping center or not. You always exercise the option if it's in the money on the last day. That's an assumption. I mean, you could not, I suppose, if you like the farmer and you want to be a nice guy. I don't know. But usually, it's all about, what it is a nonlinear relation between the stock price and the derivative. So the derivative is a broken straight line function of the stock price. Whereas all the portfolios we construct are linear. They're straight lines. They don't have a break in them. So it's creating, the option creates a break in the stock, and this is why Ross emphasized that options price something very different that's not priced in the regular. No portfolio shows you this broken straight line relation. Now I wanted to then talk about a put. What is a put? Let me erase where it says in and out of the money, but I'll show it. I'll do this with a dashed line so that you'll see which one is. I'm leaving the call line up. With a put is out of the money. Up here, if, I can't really show it too well, if the stock price is above the exercise price, because you're selling now, and it's in the money if the stock price is less than the exercise price. I didn't draw that very well, but that's supposed to be a 45-degree line. That's 45-degree angle. Has a slope of -1, right? So on the exercise date. Now, it's interesting that there's a pretty simple pattern here between puts and calls. What if I buy one call and I short one put? All right? Or write a put. Same thing as writing a put and shorting a put are the same thing. All right? What does that portfolio look like? Well, if I put that portfolio together, I want to have a call plus one call minus one put. All right? Well, my portfolio relation to the stock price is going to look like that, right? It's just going to be a straight line. So my portfolio is equal, the value of my portfolio is equal to the stock price minus the exercise price. Simple as that. And my portfolio can be negative now because I've shorted something. I can have a negative portfolio value. That's very simple. You can see that. This leads us to the put-call parity equation. Well, if a put minus a call is the same thing as the stock minus the exercise price, then the prices should add up too, right? So put-call parity. There's different ways of writing this, but it says that the stock price equals, let me see, the stock price equals the call price minus put price plus exercise price on the last day, on the exercise day, right? It's simple. This is put-call parity on the exercise date. Now let's think about some day before the exercise date. Well, you know this is going to happen on the exercise date. So any day before the exercise date, the same thing should hold, except that we've got to make this the present value, present discounted value of the exercise price. And also, we have to add in case there is any dividends paid between now and the exercise date, plus the present discounted value of dividends paid between now and the exercise date. because the stock gets that and the option holders don't. Okay? So that's called the put-call parity relation. And now I can cross out exercise date. This should hold on all dates. Because if it didn't hold, there would be an arbitrage, a profit opportunity.